Hello everybody and welcome to the D.G.S.R Sim Racing Assetto Corsa Competizione League race here at Zandvoort. This is the second race in the weekend and here is your grid. In P1 we have Long, followed by Morris in P2. In P3 Barros and Pichon in P4. In P5 Hale, followed by Joswick in P6. In P7 we have Stevens and in P8 we have Sanchez. In P9 we have Whalley, followed by Raiola in P10. In P11, we have D.G.S.R, followed by Durand in P12. In P13, we have McElliott, followed by Atril in P14. In P15, we have Engel, followed by Muir in P16. In P17, we have DL. And then in P18, we have Speaking Leash, and P19, we have Hillier. In P20, we have Obi Lerone, followed by Ridge in P21. And finally, in P22, we have Norton. You join me then for the beginning of this night race at Zandvoort. The track temperature is around 60 and 70 degrees, so the racers are going to have some effort to warm their tyres and make sure they get off to a good start and not be too slippery. Long leading the pack then, up into P1. He qualified P1. In the first race he qualified and stayed in P3, so it's going to be interesting to see how he fares up against Morris and Barros. Here as we go on to the start-finish straight. Coming up to the line then. Long and Morris deciding when they're going to set off, and there we go, 5 lights and we are away. Let's watch down the straight as we head into turn 1. Morris then getting a really good start along with Pichon and Barros. Long struggling to stay in the mix. Drop back the pack to Joswick. Oh, Stevens hits Joswick. Yeah, and has that sent him spinning out? It has, unfortunately. There's that Raiola as well, having to hit the grass in order to avoid some of those crashes. As we head now into turn 5, 6 and 7. D.G.S.R also spun out. I think most of this pack is Durand there. Hillier up into P13 is doing quite well. Muir in P14, Obi Lerone up into P15. Yeah, so a lot of the pack's having a bit of a mix around. Let's jump with some of the front runners. So Morris heading in front, staying in front of. Oh, as Pichon and Long there have a bit of a collapsing. That's also sending Barros wide, and that has given Morris a good lead. Long is being sent back up the pack. Pichon's managed to stay on to P3, but Hale's been given the opportunity to fly into P2. As has Joswick into P4. Whalley and Raiola, is that Raiola? No, that's McElliott, sorry. Up into P6 and P7. Doing very well to get up the field. Long, oh, just missed Long. Long is spinning out again. Hit by Engel by the looks of it. And that's unfortunate for him. Muir also going wide there, hitting the gravel. Lots of action in this first lap here at Zandvoort. As we now head into lap 2, Morris very much in the lead. Getting a 3-second lead now behind Hale. He's managed to get up from, I think, P5 into P2. Pichon in P3, Joswick in P4, Barros down to P5. Whalley in P6. McElliott was in P7, but it looks like he's dropped down now behind Engel, so he's down in something like P12. Which gives, I think, Sanchez. Ooh, he's just spun out. I'm very, very lucky with these camera changes. We just catch people spinning out. He's having trouble with his car. Maybe he's got some damage there from hitting the barrier, which gives Raiola now P7, I think. That puts Durand up into P9. Angle into P10. Elliott down to P10, P11. This guy's got some decent damage there. Rayon up into P11. He's done a very good job so far, as has Speaking Leash, as he just goes a little bit wide there. And Muir behind them. Oh, Stevens goes wide again into turn. That's the exit of turn 4. And let's ride on board a little bit with Muir as we turn onto. That wasn't turn 4, by the way. That was turn 13. As we go down to the last corner, turn 15, up into what is this now? Lap 3. As Muir goes quite deep into the turn 1, trying to keep up with Speaking Leash and Obi Larone. Muir there, running for the team. I tried. And quite rightly, he does try. It seems to be that Speaking Leash and Larone are getting away from him a little bit. Head now into turn 8. Fast right-hander. Speaking Leash going quite tight into that corner. Looks like he's going to make the move on Obi Larone, and he makes the job done. Is Obi Larone going to take another stab at him through turn 11? Sorry. And it looks like it is running side by side. Ooh, Speaking Leash comes across very quickly there. As Muir comes into the fray, backs off a little bit, going into the chicane. Speaking Leash goes wide over that chicane. That's going to cost him some time. As we head now into the last corner of turn 4, and I think Speaking Leash has now fallen back as Mew makes a little bit of a go around Obi Larone, heading into the last corner now, turn 15, and back onto the straights to start lap 5. Very good racing here, very clean racing from the 3 drivers there, as Mew looks like he's going to try and make a dive on turn 1. Oh, not quite. He's not quite close enough, but he's going to get a better exit, and looks like he's going to get the job done. Oh, he's still got Stevens up the back of them now, and there we go. Mew is ahead up into P12. Very good driving, guys. Right, as we head up into... Have a look how we're going at the front. Morris still 3 seconds ahead of Hale. Pishon then in P3, 1 second behind. As a delivery driver comes to my door and my dog barks. Sorry about that. Joswick down in P4 then. Barros in P5. Still running that same order. Oh, looks like Raiola is ahead. Is that Raiola? No, sorry, that's Joswick in P5 now. So Barros has overtaken Joswick at some point. P6 still occupied by Whalley, followed very closely by Raiola. Let's ride on board with him for a little bit and see how he does. So heading into the last turn of lap 4. Running on board with number 121, the Ferrari of Raiola. He's looking towards the back of 492 Whalley. Is he going to make a turn on the inside of turn 1? No, decides against it. Whalley slows right down. And the two of them might be catching there on Joswick. He's quite closely bunched at the top here. And behind Raiola is a 3 second gap to Durand. So these guys are fairly safe at the moment. So turn into turn 8. All of these corners do have names, by the way, but unfortunately they're in Dutch, and I'm not even going to attempt trying to pronounce them. Okay, we turn through turn 9, turn 10. Turn 11. Raiola not quite close to make a move just yet. Let's see if we can have a look at some others. Let's have a look at McElliott, who's catching on Engel then. Down for P9. As we head up to the chicane in lap 5 now. Yep, heading towards the end of lap 5. Not quite close enough to make a move just yet. As Engel hits the quite an aggressive hit of the curb there. We're heading to the final corner. McElliott possibly thinking about a move in turn 1 if he can keep with Engel and down this straight. Ooh, he goes a little bit wide. That's going to cost him. Oh, he manages to keep it on the track. That's going to give Engel a little bit of breathing room. Behind them we have Muir and Stevens. Stevens is coming up to turn 1. Trying to catch Muir in P11. Well, a second within them. Behind them in P13 is Speaking Leash, who seems to be riding pretty much by himself. Followed a couple of seconds by Obi Lerone. Followed by a few seconds more by Norton, who's just hit the wall. That's unfortunate. See if DL can hunt him down. And he's going to look to do it through turns 5, 6 and 7. Possibly into turn 8. As we hit the grass a little bit, it's a better corner in turn 10. Turn 9, sorry. This is turn 10. Goes down quite a lot for turn 10. And that's going to give Norton a little bit of breathing room. Oh, but Norton takes that very wide. Can DL get him possibly in the chicane? No, looks like not quite a gap yet. Sanchez then also close behind DL and Norton. Oh, as he's pushing. Coming out of the turn 13 chicane. DL hitting the grass a little bit as we head into turn 15, the last corner. Sanchez getting quite up close behind him, possibly thinking about catching him on the straight. Yeah, looks like he's got the speed as DL goes a bit wide. He's going to get him under braking into turn 1. Looks like he is, and the move is made. Behind them then is Atrial. He's had a bit of a struggled with this race so far. Ridge then down in P20. Hillier down in P21, and finally Villades in P22. All races are still driving though, so no one's DNF just yet. So obviously the damage hasn't been too bad. We'll jump back up to the top. We are now 7 laps, almost 8 laps. Into this race. Morris still leading now by a considerable amount of about 6 seconds. Safe to say if he can keep it clean, he's got this race in the bag. Hale down in still battling with Pichon for P2. Still within a second between each other, and that's probably what's giving Morris the ability to keep ploughing ahead. Pichon into P3 then. Barros down in P4 trying to catch those leaders. How far behind is he at the moment? That's a few seconds, I would say. Yeah, 3 seconds. So he's going to be looking to make that time up in the next few laps. P5 then, we've got Joswick. That's second behind. And behind him is Whalley. Again, still followed closely by Raiola. Let's have a look on board with them. As Whalley goes a little wide, keeps it nice. Raiola chasing, and then as we turn to P8, turn 8. Both keeping it very clean despite running so close together. Then defending well as he goes on the inside of this one. Raioala's going to have a look up the outside, but he's not going to have enough. Well, he might look for a move to make around the chicane, thinks against it. And decides to come towards the back. Rayola's definitely pushing very hard. Durand is a second behind them. Trying to keep in the mix for P6 and P7. And then there's quite a large gap between Durand and Engel, who's chilling out. He's got McGalligan behind him. Muir behind that, and Stevens behind them. So that's quite a little close pack, fighting for P9 and P10, stay in the top 10. Engel's doing a pretty good job. He qualified reasonably low down to keep up with them. And then speaking leash, speaking leash or Stevens goes wide again through the exit of turn 3. Sorry. Try to catch up with that pack. Speaking leash then, 8 seconds behind them. Sanchez, 13 seconds behind. Speaking leash, and DL then in P15. The pack very much spacing out a lot more than in race 1. Possibly just because it's a slightly longer race. Attrell in P17, battling with, is that Ridge? Or Norton actually, is Norton? Norton's pitted, must have had some damage there. Just going to see what he's going to. So is that the car of Hillier then? I think yes, Hillier. So Hillier's managed to get in front of Attrell. He must be running in P17. And Long is also pitted. So I think there's Norton and Long both in the pits at the moment, which gives Villadesson the opportunity to catch up with the back of the pack, and Obi Laron to get a little bit further ahead. Morris then still 7 seconds in front, charging ahead of the rest of the pack. Hishon looks to be running fairly close behind Hale, but they've also been caught up now by Barros. So let's ride on board with them and see what's going on there. As we head now into turn 7 and turn 8. We're all within a second of each other here. We head now into turn 9. Ooh. Looks like Pichon's lost it a little bit there, which has given Barros the welcome to come through. Oh, Norton's got a stop-go penalty of 30 seconds. That's probably from speeding in the pit lane. Barros then has made the move on Pichon now and is up into P3. But has lost a little bit of time to Hale making that move. Interesting to see if he can make that time up. As we head now into the final corner of lap 10. Over halfway through this race. Now, field's very, very spread out. And Barros has got some work to do to catch up with Hale now and keep Pichon behind him. Let's run back on board with Raiola. Still battling to get past Whalley. Whalley takes the inside line into turn 1 to stay ahead of Raiola. Raiola still pushing hard, but keeping it clean. Neither of them have had any knocks, any spins or anything like that. Some very interesting racing, but they're all. Raiola stays within 0.2 of a second. So we head now into turn 8 again, once again. We're moving over a little bit. Taking the inside line to keep Raiola behind him. Raiola thinking about going, tries around the outside again. This is not going to be enough. Unfortunately, as Whalley keeps him behind. Might have a little look into the chicane. can be difficult around the outside though. And Whalley still has track position. Viola looking every which way to try and get around. Let's have a look. Let's jump back then to Muir, who is caught up with Engel as we head through turn 14 and turn 15 of the track. Might be thinking about making a move down the straights. Heading into turn 1 of lap 12. Oh, Mew then. Yep, he makes the move down the side of Engel into the straight. And he's going to be looking to get in front of him before turn 1. That's it. Muir then up into P9. He's done a good job getting up the field, keeping it clean. He's had a few good bits of racing there with different races on the track. Behind them then, McGallagher is 4 seconds behind, riding by himself. Stevens with 12 seconds behind, but Speaking Leash. Ooh, a bit of a battle going on there. Let's get the clock back a little bit as we see. So we got running on board with Stevens right now as we head into turn 3. Not a lot of space there for Speaking Leash, and I think that sends him a little wide as we go through turn 4. Yeah, Speaking Leash has been pushed back, and he's going to have to make that time up once again on Stevens. Right up with Barros then, who seems to have caught up with Hale as he goes into lap 13. Possibly looking to make a move on the straight. Looks like he's got the pace. Hale's going to be looking to defend, but Barros has just got too much speed. Try and get him under braking. Jump onto Hale. Battling to keep his position, and yeah, that's the inside line in turn 1. He can pretty much sail through then. Morris then in P1. 10 seconds behind him is Barros in P2. Both first and second respectively in race 1. Keeping their... Well, Barros is in P2 now, whereas he came P1 the first race. But he's got a lot of time to catch up, which I'm not sure he has enough of the race to do that, because Morris is just sailing ahead. Morris then catching up with back markers of that's the Aston Martin of DL up there, I believe, in P18, as he goes wide and makes sure to avoid Morris. Let's go jump back to P7 with Raiola, still running behind Whalley. They've been running behind each other now for, I want to say, several laps. Oh, as Whalley goes wide, and Raiola is able to just sail past. That is unfortunate for Whalley, and he's kept P6 for so long, and now drops down to P7, and he's going to have a job now not to let Duran through as well. As we head into the chicane. Let's have a look now at Speaking Leash, Sanchez and Stevens. They're all running quite close proximity. We're running on board with Sanchez right now as we head into turn 10 and turn 11. Sanchez then trying to make the move on Speaking Leash when he can. Doesn't look like he's close enough to make the move into the chicane. Possibly thinking about the straight or turn 1. Turn 1 is definitely, the straight and the turn 1 are definitely the best places to overtake on this track. Hence why it happens quite a lot. Speaking Leash carries a little bit more speed through that corner, but it's set a little bit wide. Sanchez then making the gain of both Stevens and Speaking Leash going wide there at the end of turn 15 into the straight. This is going to be a difficult one. Sanchez decides to back out as Speaking Leash goes around the outside of Stevens. He's not going to have enough speed coming out of the corner. Sanchez getting very close to Speaking Leash, but keeping it very clean. This is a good battle between the three of them. Speaking Leash goes quite wide round that corner, which might give Sanchez the opportunity to overtake through turns 5, 6 and 7. He's definitely got the speed, but it's where you can overtake, that's the trouble. Keeps his distance through turn 8. Might be able to get the job done and through the next few corners. Oh, as Long comes speeding past. Jumping up into what was that, P13? Oh no, sorry, Long's a lap behind. That was a very bold move to make when you're a lap behind, but you got the job done and did it safely. That's going to put Sanchez quite a bit behind Speaking Leash and Stevens as David Long takes Speaking Leash up the inside of the chicane. That might give Sanchez the opportunity to make a move on Speaking Leash. Oh, as Speaking Leash goes wide, massively wide, that's Sanchez through into, I think, P13, I want to say. Yeah, as Long as done the unlapped himself around Stevens as well. Interesting battle there for P12, 13 and 14. Let's jump back down then to Villadessen, who's making some time up on Obi-Lerone. I think is that Murin ahead of them? Is he a lap ahead of them? I assume so. Oh, did Obi-Lerone go a bit deep into turn 10? It's a common problem, as Villadessen is allowed to jump up into P19 then. Ilya then, having a much better race so far than he did in race 1. Race 1 he ended up DNFing. He's keeping it cleaner and had to pit for any damage. I think we'll jump back up actually to Sanchez, who's made up the time on Stevens. Through turn 11, coming up to the chicane. Might make a move here. Get him under braking. No, he keeps his distance. Getting up close and personal. Ooh, that's going to cost him some time there. A bit too tight into the exit of the corner. As we go into turn 15. Both keeping it just wide enough to stay off the grass. Oh, Stevens goes wide again, almost hits Sanchez, but Sanchez is able to come flying past, and he's done well in the last couple of laps to get past both Stevens and Speaking Leash. Field quite spread up then, apart from these guys. We've still got Morris up in P1. He's a good 11 seconds in front of Barros, who's just finishing up the end of lap 16. A couple of seconds behind him then, we still got Hale in P3, Pichon in P4, and 11 seconds gap between Pichon and Joswick, who is down in P5. Raiola then, after making a move on Whalley, is catching then with Joswick, but he's got some back markers to deal with. Is that a black and orange flag for someone? Look that way. And there we go, as Raiola's got past the back marker of DL and now trying to chase down Joswick, just 2 seconds ahead of him. Whalley then in P7, lost a good 5 seconds now to Raiola. So after Raiola got past, he's lost that time. And he's got to deal with Durand, who's just 1 and a bit seconds behind him. Behind them then is Muir, who's riding in P9. Again, another good race from Muir, keeping it clean and keeping it safe. Getting a few good laps in. Behind him is McElligott in P10. Engel then, 6 seconds behind him in P11. Sanchez in P12. Stevens in P13. Speaking Leash just behind him in P14. Actual in P15. He's done well to get up to P15 considering the race he's had so far. Ridge in P16. DL in P17. Hillier in P18. Villadessin in P19. Norton in P20. Being, I think, lapped by DL. Is that DL? And they're both letting some lappers go around. And Long then down in P21, having a pretty nasty first lap. Let's jump back up to Raiola. He's getting close to Joswick now. Joswick been riding in P5 by himself for the large majority of the race. He's got Raiola for company now as we head into the last few laps of this race at Zandvoort. A little bit bumpy. Actually, I'm going to choose now to go back to Durand, who's now within a second of Whalley. Can he make this move before the end of the race to get himself up into P7? Whalley goes wide again on turn 10. Keeps to the inside on turn 11, so he's not going to give Durand the opportunity to go around the outside. We head into the chicane. Looks like Durand's got enough space to make the move. Into the chicane. He's going to keep it safe and keep it tidy through there. Back up to Raiola in P6. Doesn't quite have the pace to catch up with Joswick on the straight. So he's going to be following him. Ooh, brakes quite late there. Almost touches him. He's managed to catch up without hitting him, although they've both gone a bit wide around the exit of turn 2. Trying to find a gap somewhere to overtake Joswick. Question is, Joswick's going to give it as he turns his lights off. Must be an accident there. He's lost a bit of time. I assume trying to turn them back on. Yeah, there we go. Durand then still riding up the back of Whalley as we head into turn 7 and turn 8. And he backs off a little bit there. Some interesting battling happening in the last lap of the race, actually. Let's just ride with Morris then as we head into the final corner of the race. Morris then coming over the line in P1. A good 10 seconds ahead of Barros in P2. Both of them will be happy with 2 podiums. Hale then in P3, followed closely by Pichon in P4. Joswick just coming around the final turn now in P5. Managed to keep it very clean, managed to keep Raiola behind him and take over that P5. Raiola then P6. Whalley coming down the straight in P7. Durand close behind in P8. Muir. Sorry if pronouncing that correctly. Muir then in... Ooh, what's happened? Oh, that is unfortunately the end of the replay, which is a shame. So we'll drop back quickly, a lap or so, and then just go through the order. I think that's Muir in P9, McKelligot in P10, Engel P11, Sanchez P12, Speaking Leash P13, Stevens P14, Actual P15, Ridge P16, DL in P17, Hillier in P18, Villadessin in P19, Norton in P20, and finally Long in P21. And I'm just going to pause it there and just double check That's correct. Yeah, Morris P1, Barros, Hale, Pichon, Joswick, Riola, Whalley, Durand, Muir, McKelligot, Engel, Sanchez, Speaking Leash, Stevens, Atrial, Ridge, DL, Hillier, Villadessen, Norton, and finally Long. Right then, that concludes the D.G.S.R Sim Racing League race at Zandvoort. In the first race, I think it was Barros came P1, Morris P2, and Hale in and Long, in P3. And in the second race, we've got Morris in P1, Barros in P2, and Hale in P3. So well done to those guys. Well done to everyone for competing and taking part. Some really good racing there. And I would like to thank all of you for watching and listening. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.